One of the things I do here is build pickups. For me, it's important to have a few guitars lying around that I can just try the pickups in, where I'm not really risking any real damage. And the way I do that is by buying in cheap guitars, doing them up, and just using them as a platform for the prototypes. And here's one of those guitars. It's an Aria Pro 2. It was about £180 second hand on Marketplace. And this is what I do to them when I get them in terms of doing them up. So here it is, the Aria Pro 2. 180 quid second hand. As you can see, it comes complete with a good layer of dust and filth. Do it a good clean out, but all in all it doesn't look in too bad a condition. You can see that the fretwork's not particularly worn, though it could do with a good polish. I may well give it a dress just to make sure that it's nice and level. There you go, nice amount of dust comes for free. It's amazing what you can get from Facebook Marketplace these days. So there you go, one Aria Pro 2. Let's get to work on it. So I've taken all the strings off and I've got the fret rocker, and I've been up and down the neck, and you can see there's not a lot in there, nothing to really complain about actually, and it's testament to how good these probably were when they originally came out of the factory. But there's no need for me to dress this at all. It's actually pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start taping it up and giving it a very good clean for those frets, get a bit of a smooth up. I'm not going to use anything too abrasive. I have taped up the pickups as well because I'm going to use some wire wool, and got some 2000 paper, and first thing I'm going to do is wrap that around a rubber. There it is. And that's actually, this is supposed to be a fret polishing rubber, but it doesn't really polish frets. So what I do is I tend to wrap a little bit of the paper around it, 2000 paper, just to polish up. You can see there's a tiny little bit of scoring in there, but nothing you'd feel when you were playing it. And then just take like that, turn over the edges, make sure there's nothing sharp, some wire wool. This is super fine, the Quad O wire wool. And it doesn't take very long to get a really good shine on there. Right, let's do the rest of them. Well, the frets are polished, but of course, along with everything else with this guitar, we've been supplied with plenty of dead skin. So I'm going to hit this with some lemon oil. It hasn't been over lubricated, this fingerboard. It's a bit dry. So I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. I'm going to grab a cloth and we're just going to have a really good rub at this and see if we can get some of this muck off. I think the thumbnail may come into play here. Look at that junk there, that's terrible. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So I'll make it all the way down the neck like this, and then we'll get on to the next job. Okay, let's get something, a blade in there. There we go. Break the seal. Oh my, well that's a mess, isn't it? Look at that. Why would you wire up a guitar like that? So there's a lot of loose wire here, and it's all well and good, but look, there's joints hanging out all over the place, and things are inside one another, and they've got all this heavy shrink wrap that isn't really shrink wrap over them. So that's one pickup out and unsoldered. So it's just so much cable everywhere, isn't it? What a mess. I don't even know how well you can see what I'm doing here. It's such a mess. I'm just going to take the earth off of this one. Okay, that's out. And there's the live coming off the signal side, coming off. Oh, that part's not very good, is it? Okay, so that's both the pickups out of there. I think I'm tempted to just have all that out of there. Now what's going on here? That looks like they've joined the output to the switch cable. I think we've got to find a better way of doing that. That really is a mess. Right, okay, let's have all of this out of here. Okay, these are the returns from the switch. Well, this is the return, that's the live, and that goes out to the jack socket. That's the earth side, which then also goes back to the switch. And for some reason, they've wired the return, one of the returns or one of the outputs over to this pot here, which is part of the tone control circuit. So I think we're just going to cut all that out of there and unhook it and start again, because that's just a mess. And there's no need for any of this, it's just a load of old rubbish. I mean, what's the point? Not a pretty common problem. Can't get hold of the pot to get it off. All the way around underneath with a bit of string, and off she comes. Okay, so I think we're all done in here now. You can see that it's wired kind of 1950s style. The earth comes through the switch into the main pot and is distributed around the back of the other pots. The capacitor runs from the output of the pot, i.e. the wiper, to the tone pot, okay, and that's the way that Les Pauls were wired in the 1950s. It's not the way they're wired now, and that's it. It's a little bit less messy than it was before. It's not fantastic because there isn't enough room to get things in the way I would like them, but it'll do, and it should be perfectly functional. Next thing I've got to do is make the pickups that are going to go in back in that guitar. And what you can see here, this is the in lead, this is the start lead for the pickup, and I'm just going to tin this, and then we're going to wind the wire onto it. What I do is hold the wire and then wrap it around, and then just wind it back a little bit so there's a little bit of tension on it, almost like I'm pulling it just to keep it tense, and then just going to solder it to here. Okay, bobbin onto the sticky surface on the front of my winder. Right, so now we can just turn the power on, just run it nice and slowly. What I'm going to try and do is get a layer on the bottom. You can see there's a layer on the bottom. Let's lift that up. And then we're just going to speed this bobbin up now and get loads wound on here. And there we go, one very full bobbin. And that's what a lot of the Gibson ones probably would have been like towards the end of the 50s. You know, they had this reputation for being totally full up bobbins. I'm going to go to the coil, give myself a bit of room to tape it up, and here we go, just wrap it around there. Got it going now. Okay, then, see that's wrapped up on there. I've got to remelt that solder. I've got to get it hot enough so that it will strip the enamel, just like a poly coat, off the wire. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that I've got a working coil, and that should be in the 20k range, and I have 4.29, 4.3 kilo ohms. That's perfect. Right, now to do the others. Just trying to get this scrape back so I get a bit of salt on it. Make sure it sticks. Okay, lower that down a little bit, in fact quite a lot. That's still a little bit too tight, I've gone too far. There we go, come back out a little bit. So here it is, the finished guitar. It's nice and clean. 2 new pickups in it. Now the purpose of doing this particular prototype was to try these 2 new pickups out, and they're based on what I think was probably in the Eric Clapton Beano guitar. I was asked to make these for a friend of mine. We know that the early 60s Les Pauls tended to be quite hot, the pickups, so we've gone for around 8.3k in the bridge and about 7.98k in the neck, roughly. And the idea was to try and get, with the covers off, a nice bright sound and a nice strong sound, because we know that's what Clapton liked at the time, because he was driving a JTM 45 sort of full belt with it. So that's what we've got. Let's see what it sounds like. Bridge pickup first. Nice range of tones from the bridge pickup, and obviously the controls are very reactive to it, being a P.A.F. Okay, let's try the neck pickup. Roll a little bit of tone off and get that very Clapton-esque woman tone. it should give us a kind of funky tone. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that. We'll now take the pickups out and put those hopefully in my friend's Les Paul. But anyway, thanks for watching. Here it is, Aria 2 350 something or other. Can't quite remember the model number. It's a Les Paul alike. And it works. Hi. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Leave a comment. It all drives the algorithm, which helps build the channel. Thanks again for watching.